You walk out to the coop on a gray morning in the wet end of April, and the grass is soaked, and the run is churned to soup from 3 days of rain. You lift the lid on the nest box the way you have 1,000 times, and there they are, 4 eggs, and every last one of them is smeared. One has a brown streak dragged clear across it. One is stuck to the straw. You pick them up with 2 fingers like they might bite you, and you carry them to the kitchen sink, and you run the tap. And you scrub each one under the water till your fingers ache and the shells go dull. And then you set them in the carton feeling like a body who cannot even keep an egg clean on his own land. Now I want you to sit with this, because near everything you just did was wrong, and it was not your fault. And by the time we are done, you will hardly ever pick up that brush again. Here is the thing most folks never get told, and it is the whole hinge of the matter. A clean egg is not something you make at the sink after the fact. A clean egg is something the hen hands you already clean, if you set her house up right. The dirty egg and the clean egg are not decided in your kitchen. They are decided out in that coop, in the hour before the hen ever laid, and in the weeks before that. And the sink is just where folks go to fix a problem that was already lost or already won long before they walked out with the basket. Fix the setup and the egg takes care of itself. A clean egg laid is worth 10 eggs scrubbed. Stay with me because I am going to show you the whole of it, slow, the way it was shown to me. My name is Samuel Hostetler. I am Amish, and I farm here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And I have been working this same ground for 40 years, alongside my wife Leah, who has forgotten more about a laying flock than most folks will ever learn. And I am going to be honest with you the way I always am, because honesty is the only thing that makes a video like this worth your time. I gathered the whole of what Leah and I keep on eggs and hens and 100 other little farm methods into a book, and it is over at samuelhostetler.com. And I will not bring it up again in this video. If you want it, it is there. And I will tell you plain, before we take one step further, what the title of this really means and where it stops. Getting near spotless eggs is real, and I will show you exactly how. But no honest man tells you every egg will come out white as a Sunday shirt in the mud of April. In a bad wet week, you will still get a few smeared ones, and I will show you what to do with those too, the right way, not the way that ruins them. That is honest. Now let me tell you what is really going on, because once you see the simple sense of it, everything after makes plain sense. The first thing to understand, and it is the one that changes everything, is a thing called the bloom. When a hen lays, in the very last moment before that egg leaves her, she lays down a thin wet coating over the whole shell, and it dries in a few minutes into an invisible seal. The scientists call it the cuticle. We just call it the bloom. And that bloom is the cleverest bit of protection you will find anywhere, better than anything you could buy in a bottle. Because a shell is not solid the way it looks. A single hen egg has somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 tiny pores in it, little open passages meant to let a growing chick breathe air. Bacteria are small enough to walk right through those pores if something opens the door for them. The bloom is what keeps that door shut. It seals over those thousands of pores and locks the outside world out. And here is why that matters for a clean egg more than anything I will say all day. As long as that egg stays clean enough that you never have to wash it, the bloom stays whole, and an egg with its bloom on will sit good on your counter for weeks with no refrigeration at all, the way our grandmothers kept them in a bowl by the stove. The moment you take that egg to the sink and scrub it, you strip the bloom clean off, you open all those thousands of pores, and now you have an egg that has to be refrigerated and used quick before something gets in. So the whole game, mind this, is not getting good at washing eggs. The whole game is keeping the egg clean enough that you never have to wash it in the first place. Everything else I tell you today comes back to that one truth. Protect the bloom by never having to break it. Now I promised you the how, and I am going to give it to you in threes, because that is how a body remembers a thing. And I want you to still have this in your head a month from now. There are 3 great places the clean egg is decided. It is decided where the hen sleeps, it is decided where the hen lays, and it is decided how the egg gets from the nest to your basket. Get those 3 right, and you have solved better than 9 eggs in 10. Let me take them one at a time and tell it slow. The first place, and this is the biggest single fix in the whole business, is where the hen sleeps. Here is the number 1 reason good folks get filthy eggs, and hardly anybody ever tells them. The hens are sleeping in the nest boxes at night. A hen sits in one spot the whole night through, and a hen does her business through the night same as any creature. So a hen that sleeps in a box packs that box with droppings by morning, and then at first light she turns around and lays her egg down into the mess she just made. You could keep the cleanest coop in the county and still get muck on every egg if the birds are bedding down in the boxes. Now here is the fix, and it is bred so deep into a chicken that you can use it like a lever. A chicken wants to sleep on the very highest thing she can reach. It goes back thousands of years to roosting up in the trees at night to keep clear of the foxes and the coons down below. Height means safety to her, deep in her blood. So, if the highest perch in your whole coop is the roost bar, that is where every bird will pile at night, and they will leave the nest boxes alone. But if your nest boxes sit up high, or even level with the roost, the birds will read those boxes as the safe high spot, and they will sleep in them, and you have lost before the sun even comes up. So here is the rule, and I want you to say it back to yourself. Roost high, nest lower. The roost bar must be a good hand higher than the top of the highest nest box. Plain and clear. No contest about which is the tallest spot in the house. That one rule, just that one, fixes half the dirty eggs in this country. And let me give you the honest chaos here, because I learned this exact thing the hard way, and I would be a poor teacher to hide it. For the better part of 2 years, I had one corner box. Just the one that gave me muck, no matter what on God's earth I did. I changed the bedding, I changed nothing. I blamed the hens, I blamed the weather, I about blamed myself into the ground. And one evening I stood in that coop at dusk with a lantern and watched. And there was a hen perched right on the front lip of that one box, settling in for the night, doing her business straight down into it. I looked up, and the roost bar above that corner had sagged over the seasons, just sagged down soft with the years till it sat lower than the edge of that box, so that corner box had quietly become the highest spot in the reach. I shimmed that bar back up level and a hand higher, and that box went clean the very next morning and stayed clean. The lesson, and write it on your heart. When one box will not behave, look up, not down. The trouble is almost always where they sleep, not where they lay. Now the second great place the clean egg is decided is where the hen lays, and that is the nest box itself, and there is more to a good box than folks think. Start with how many. You want about 1 box for every 3 or 4 hens, not 1 box each. That surprises people, but a whole flock will fight over the same one favorite box no matter how many you give them and leave the rest empty, so more boxes is just wasted lumber. A box about a foot square suits a standard hen fine. Set them low on the wall, below that roost, and here is the part that matters. Tuck them into the dimmest, quietest corner of the coop you have got. A hen wants to lay where she feels hidden and safe, dark and private, and out of the traffic, the way a wild bird hides a nest in the brush. Give her that dark, quiet corner, and she will use the box you built. Fail to, and she will go hide a clutch in the weeds behind the barn, where you will find it 3 weeks later. Spoiled. Leah puts a little curtain of feed sack cloth over the front of each box, hung so it splits in the middle for the hen to push through, and I will tell you that simple rag does real work. It darkens the box, so the hen feels hidden. It keeps the laying hen out of sight, and it cuts down hard on egg eating, because a hen cannot get the notion to peck an egg she cannot see. A box that is dark and private and low, that is a box that gives clean eggs. Now inside that box you need deep, dry, clean bedding, and you need to stay after it. And this is where most folks go slack. Good soft bedding, clean straw or pine shavings, or the dried herbs some like to add, gives the egg a cushion to land on so it does not crack, and it soaks up any bit of wet the hen carries in. But bedding only does its work if it is fresh. One dirty flake left in the corner of a box will mark every single egg that rolls against it, all week long. So when I gather, I run my hand right through the bedding of each box, and the second a box looks soiled, I pull that dirty bedding out and toss a fresh handful in. It takes 10 seconds, and it saves you a dozen dirty eggs. Some folks lay a rubber nest pad or a bit of fake grass mat in the bottom under the bedding, and those lift right out to hose off. And I will grant that is a tidy trick worth doing. Now here is the first thing I want to give you that the old videos on this never mention, and it belongs right here with the box. That warm, dark-bedded box, the very thing that makes a hen happy, is also the very thing that makes a poultry mite happy, and a mite-ridden box will foul your eggs and sicken your hens both. So a few times through the warm season, when the box is empty of eggs, I dust the bare wood of the box, the corners and the cracks and the underside of the roost with a light hand of food-grade diatomaceous earth, or I give the wood a coat of plain lime wash in spring the way the old barns were done. The lime brightens the box, it dries the wood, and it holds down mites and the sour smell both. Just do it to the bare box before the fresh bedding goes in, and keep the birds off it till the dust settles, and never make a cloud of it around their heads. A box kept dry and sweet this way stays cleaner longer between beddings, and a hen with no mites biting her lays a calmer, cleaner egg. That is a step out of the old barn book that most new folks have never had shown to them. And here is the second new thing, and it is about the hen's own feet, because a hen with clean feet lays a clean egg, and a hen tracking mud does not. Most of your muddy eggs in the wet months are not from the box at all. They are from feet. From a hen who walked through the swamp, your run turns into every time it rains and then climbs straight up into the nest. So the first half of this is drainage. A few barrows of coarse sand or wood chips in the low muddy spots, a little grading so the water runs off instead of standing, and a dry covered patch they can get under out of the rain. All of that keeps their feet cleaner. But here is the piece nobody builds. Put a landing rail, a simple perch, right across the front of your nest boxes, an inch or two out and a little below the lip, so that every hen has to hop up and stand on that rail a moment before she steps into the box. A bird standing and shifting on a narrow rail knocks the worst of the mud off her own feet before she ever touches the clean bedding, same as you stamping your boots on the porch step before you come into Leah's kitchen. It costs you one length of scrap dowel and 20 minutes. And in the mud of April, it is worth its weight in clean eggs. Now the third great place the clean egg is decided is how the egg gets from that nest to your basket. And this one is purely about how often you walk out there. An egg sitting in the box is an egg waiting to get dirty. The longer it sits, the more chance another hen climbs in over it with wet feet, or a hen tracks in rain, or worst of all, one egg gets stepped on and breaks and smears its slime over every other egg in the clutch. Time is the enemy of a clean egg, so gather often. In the warm laying season, I gather at least twice a day, morning and evening, and 3 times is not too many if you are passing by the coop anyhow. An egg gathered within the hour of being laid is near always a clean egg. An egg left in the box till nightfall has had the whole long day to find trouble. Frequent gathering does 2 jobs at once. It gets each egg out of harm's way before it can be fouled, and it keeps eggs from piling up and cracking one another. And here is the third new thing I want to give you. A little system Leah and I keep that makes the gathering do double work. Do not gather into one basket and sort at the sink. Sort as you gather, right there at the box, into 3 grades. In one hand, or one side of the basket, go the clean eggs. The ones with the bloom perfect. And those need nothing. They go to the counter or the pantry, as they are. In another spot go the lightly marked ones, a smudge of dry dirt or a fleck of bedding, and those you will dry clean, which I will show you in a moment. Never wash, and set apart, kept from touching the others, the truly soiled ones and any you find cracked. And those are the ones for the refrigerator to be used first. Sorting at the box, while your eye is fresh on each egg, means you handle every egg once, and you never let a leaking cracked one ride home, smearing the clean ones. And while your eye is on them, hold the doubtful ones up to the light a second, what the old folks call candling, just up to the window or a lantern, and a hairline crack you would never feel with a thumb will show up dark as a hair against the glow. A cracked egg has no bloom worth anything and must be used quick, so you want to know it at the box, not 3 weeks on when it has gone off in the bowl. That little 3-grade sort with a candle to the light is the closest thing to a free tool you will ever get on a farm. Now, before I walk you through the few eggs that do come in dirty, let me pause for just a moment. Because if a plainer, steadier way of running a home and a little flock is what you are after, Leah and I keep a whole community of folks doing just that, trading what works, and you can join us and ask the both of us your own questions whenever you get stuck. The link for it is down in the description. Now, back to it. Even with everything set right, you will get a few dirty eggs in a wet spell, and here is the rule. The old-timers knew that near every new person gets exactly backward. Dry clean first. Wet clean only as a last resort. If an egg has just a smudge of dry dirt or a fleck of bedding stuck on, you take a bit of fine sandpaper, or a dry scrubbing pad, or a rough dry cloth, and you rub that spot off dry. Dry cleaning lifts the dirt clean off and leaves the bloom behind, whole. So that egg still keeps for weeks, like it was never touched. You only reach for water when an egg is truly soiled. Wet muck you cannot rub off dry. And when you must use water, here is the part that will save your family from a sickness, and it is the single thing most folks in this country have flat backward. You use water warmer than the egg, never cold, never the cold tap. Let me set out the why of that plainly, because it matters more than anything else I will tell you today. Remember those 7,000 to 10,000 pores in the shell. Warm and cold do not just change how the egg feels, they change what the egg does. When you run cold water over a warm egg, the contents inside contract. They pull in and shrink, and as they shrink, they draw a little suck through those thousands of pores. And whatever bacteria are sitting on that dirty shell get pulled right down inside into the very part you are going to eat. That is exactly the wrong direction. Warm water does the opposite. Warm water makes the contents expand and push gently outward through the pores, pushing the muck away from the inside, keeping it out. So the old kitchen habit, the one your own mother maybe kept, of rinsing the eggs under the cold tap, is the worst possible thing you can do, because it is quietly pumping whatever is on that shell straight into your breakfast. When you must wash, use water about 20 degrees warmer than the egg. Warm to the wrist, not hot. A quick pass, no soaking, and no sitting the egg in standing water. Dry it right off with a clean cloth. And then, because that washed egg has lost its bloom, it goes in the refrigerator and it gets used first. If you take nothing else from me today, take this. Do not wash a farm egg in cold water. Dry clean it if you can, warm wash it if you must, and leave the clean ones unwashed with their bloom on. Now, here is a thing worth sitting with, because it is the deeper reason all this fussing matters, beyond just an egg that looks tidy in the carton. An unwashed, clean egg with the bloom whole will sit on your counter, good to eat, for 2 and 3 weeks, and longer yet down in a cool pantry or cellar. That is how folks kept eggs through all the long centuries before there was such a thing as a refrigerator, and it still works today, exactly the same. Think on what that means for your place. It means a great glut of summer eggs is not a scramble to give them all away before they turn. It means real food, keeping itself, sitting in a bowl on your counter and asking nothing of you. But it only holds if the egg comes in clean and the bloom stays on. That, right there, is the whole reason I fuss so hard about the roost and the box and the gathering. The clean egg was never about pride or a pretty carton. It is about a food that keeps itself the way it was meant to. And since we are on eggs that keep themselves, let me give you the old ways of putting a glut by for the winter. Because a clean bloom-on egg opens doors, a washed egg never can. In the flush of spring and summer, a good flock buries you, far more than one family can eat. And the trick the old folks knew was to store that surplus against the short dark days when the hens cut back and near stop. The simplest way is just a cool pantry or root cellar. Clean unwashed eggs set pointed end down, so the yolk stays centered and away from the air cell, will keep a good month or two in a cool corner, with nothing done to them at all. For the long haul, there is an old method called water glassing, where you set clean, unwashed eggs down into a crock of water mixed with pickling lime, and that seal holds them good and edible for the better part of a full year. I will not walk every step of it here, but know that it exists. Know that it is how farm families carried eggs from the summer flush clear into the winter dark for generations. And know this above all, none of it, not the cool pantry, not the water glass, works on a washed egg. The bloom has to be on. That is one more reason a clean-laid egg is worth so many times a scrubbed one. Only the clean-laid egg can be put by. Now let me tell you who profits from you not knowing any of this, because it is worth understanding, and it will make you a little angry, and it should. Walk into any grocery in America, and every egg on that shelf has been washed, scrubbed by machine, its bloom stripped clean off, which is exactly why every one of them must be kept cold from the plant to your icebox and stamped with a date that runs out fast. There is a whole industry built on the washed egg. The egg cleaning machines, the commercial egg cleaners and sanitizers sold by the drum, the cold trucks, the refrigerated cases, the short dates that move product. There is a great deal of money in an egg that has had its own protection scrubbed off and now depends on a cold chain and a fast sell. There is no money at all, none, in telling a woman that the egg her own hen just laid is already sealed by the hen herself and will keep for weeks on her counter if she just leaves it be. So that simple old truth sits quiet in farmhouses like mine, and the whole loud machine hums along, teaching everybody that an egg is a fragile, dangerous, perishable thing that must be washed and chilled and hurried. Now I am not going to stand in my barn and tell you there is a room full of men somewhere plotting against your pantry. It is not that. It is worse than that, in a way, and stranger. Nobody had to sit down at a table and arrange it. It is just that the folks with a reason to teach you all had money in the washed cold egg, and the plain truth about the bloom had no money behind it at all, so it simply never got taught. That is not a conspiracy. It is just who has a reason to teach you and who does not. Now, let me give you a plain word on safety and welfare, because it belongs right here. A clean egg and a healthy hen go together, and the same dry, clean coop that gives you clean eggs is the coop that keeps sickness down in the flock. But hear me on the safety of it. If you ever crack an egg and it smells off, or you see blood or a strange dark look inside, set it aside, and when in doubt, throw it out. That goes double in any house with little ones, or older folks, or anybody whose health is fragile. And in those houses you cook the eggs through and do not take chances with a runny yolk from a source you are unsure of. And here is the second new thing about health, one the old script skips. The shell and the bloom themselves are only as strong as what you feed the hen. A hen short on calcium lays a thin, weak, chalky shell that cracks easy and takes a poor bloom, and a cracked or poorly sealed egg is a dirty egg waiting to happen. So keep a dish of crushed oyster shell out free choice, always, apart from her regular feed, so each hen can take the calcium she needs to build a good hard shell and a good tight bloom. If your hens suddenly start laying thin-shelled or oddly soiled eggs, that is not a cleaning problem. That is the hen telling you something is off in her health or her feed, and that is a good time to ring your local extension office or a poultry vet. A clean egg is the sign of a well-kept hen. Let me save you the handful of mistakes I see folks make over and over, because it is the same few every time, and once they are named, you will catch yourself before you make them. First and biggest, they hang the nest boxes too high, level with or above the roost, and the birds sleep in them and foul every egg before it is laid. Second, they gather once a day or less, and the eggs sit and get fouled and cracked through the long afternoon. Third, they let the run turn to a mud hole, and then wonder why the eggs come in muddy. Fourth, they rinse every egg under the cold tap out of pure habit, scrubbing off the bloom and pulling bacteria down inside. And fifth, they leave one soiled flake of bedding in a box for a week, marking every egg that touches it. Not one of those is hard to fix. They are just habits, and habits break the moment you see them named. So here is what I want you to do this week. And start small. Tonight, before you do one other thing, take a lantern out to the coop after dark, when the birds have settled, and look, plainly, whether that roost bar really is the very highest spot in the house, higher than every nest box. If it is not, that is very likely your whole dirty egg problem sitting right there, and you can shim that bar up in 10 minutes. Second, starting tomorrow, gather twice a day and sort as you gather. Clean to the counter, smudged to be dry cleaned, soiled and cracked to the refrigerator to use first. And third, walk your run and find the low wet spot and throw a few barrows of sand or chips in it and hang a scrap of feed sack cloth over the front of your boxes. Do those 3 things and I will wager you cut your dirty eggs by more than half inside a week before you ever pick up a brush. Come back and tell me in the comments how it went, and tell me what county you are in and how old your coop is, because the wet ground folks fight this harder than the dry, and I read every single one. And if you keep an old egg storing method from your own grandmother, the water glass, the crock, the cool cellar shelf, share it down below, because those little family methods are exactly the kind of knowledge that gets lost when nobody writes them down, and the comments on this video are how we save them. Next time, I am going to show you the old way we keep a hen laying strong right through the short, dark days of winter when everybody else's birds have quit, and it is the natural next step after today. Set the coop right, and the hen will hand you a clean egg every morning without either of you trying very hard. The old way was never a sink full of eggs and a scrub brush. It was a house set up so the egg came out clean to begin with, and a bloom left on so the egg kept itself. Nothing here is new. It has only been forgotten by folks who never had it shown to them. The people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.